So we are here today with Erin Conley, who is seeking the Ward 8 seat on the Springfield City Council in the April 2nd election. We appreciate you being here today and invite you to start by providing an opening statement that introduces voters to who you are and why you're seeking this office.
Thank you very much. I appreciate that. So I get this question a lot. Why are you running for alderman? Some people say with a little bit of incredulity in their voice. My answer is very simple, and it's very consistent. I love Springfield. I love this town. I moved here 21 years ago. I've raised 3 children in Springfield. For a significant part of that time, I was a single mom, and then I was fortunate to meet my husband. And we've raised our family here. Our kids are all proud graduates of Springfield Public Schools. This is a fabulous city to live in. There's a lot of potential here, and I want to be a part of contributing to adding to our city and improving it to the point that we're drawing in a lot more people who see really the wonder of this place. My campaign is pretty essentially based around a basic concept. It's quality neighborhoods. I believe that what the city needs to do is provide the resources, meet its commitment to the neighborhoods so that we have quality in our neighborhoods. And that's talking about streets, sidewalks, our sewer system, traffic, and public safety. I also have an extensive background in environmental regulations and kind of state regulations in general, and I'm bringing that professional experience to bear on issues regarding CWLP and the maintenance of that. It's extremely important to the residents of Springfield that we have a safe, reliable, and efficient power generation station. So I appreciate you having me in here today. I've been out walking every weekend. I've talked to a lot of people. And my issues resonate with them. There are a lot of people in Springfield who truly love this city, who want to be a part of making it stronger and better, and I'm having a great time connecting with them, building bridges, and talking about ways that we can move our community forward.
Okay, thank you. You are one of the 3 candidates in the race for the only open seat on City Council.
Yes.
This election, by which I mean there's no incumbent in this race. So what makes you stand out from the 2 other candidates seeking the seat?
Well, I think, and Mr. Graven is one of them, and there's a real marked difference between the 2 of us. And I would say up front, I've met both of them. They're very nice people. I'm not running against anyone. I'm running for Ward 8. But my campaign is really based around that concept of directing city resources towards our existing neighborhoods. While we do need development, we don't need unmitigated development. We don't need this urban sprawl into the western neighborhoods and into the western cornfields that's stretching our existing city resources and dollars to the point where we've had to install a magic button on our fire trucks so they can get through stoplights a little faster. Mm-hmm. This is not an effective use of our resources. One of the things about Springfield that makes us so strong and makes us so interesting to people are our historic neighborhoods, that neighborhood feel that we have in our community. So, as we were talking earlier, the Ward 8 has its mix of, historic West Side neighborhoods, older homes, and then we move into the country club estates, Cokie Mill West. These neighborhoods are all actually existing neighborhoods, though, and they have they have similar concerns. So we're talking about increase in traffic. I'm hearing from people, Greenbrier and Silver Mill. These streets are being used as cut-throughs. We're getting trash thrown out of the cars, and a lot of that is coming from these increased pressures from added development on the west side. I think we need to be looking at directing our resources to the neighborhoods that we have, ensuring that we're meeting all of our commitments to those residents. I understand, Mr. Graven and I have not talked about this in detail, but I heard his interview on San Madonia and he seems to be more of a new building. I would like to see that a lot of our new development be more balanced and more directed towards some of our neighborhoods that have not gotten the attention that they need, specifically our east side. We have a lot of open space over there. We have a lot of potential that's waiting to be actualized.
You mentioned traffic. What are some of the other issues that you're hearing about in Ward 8?
Right, and in Ward 8, it's very neighborhood. It is very. So it's a common theme is those neighborhood issues. Traffic, crime. People are concerned about break-ins. street and sidewalk repair and maintenance. And it's interesting, so the theme is the same, but how that plays out. So in parts of the more historic neighborhoods where they've not had as much sidewalk repair work done, they want the sidewalks repaired. We've seen in some of the neighborhoods where they have been doing repair work, there's been damage to yards. And I did talk with Mark Mahoney about this, and they do try. Obviously, there's an effort made to respect people's personal property, and you have to dig things up to replace sidewalks. But what I'd like to see as an alderwoman is that we're really reviewing contracts closely, looking at the details and ensuring that if there is a complaint, like I've got a ditch in my yard now that has no grass and rocks, that we have in our contract, if this is done through a contract, that those workers go out and they fix what they've done. And I'm not just saying, this isn't just ideas that I'm coming from. So I've been surveying people. I have an online survey on my website that I promote through my Facebook page. Streets, sidewalks, and our combined sewer system. This is huge. Now, obviously, that's not as much of a problem in the more western neighborhoods, but our older historic neighborhoods, this is huge. That is not a problem that's going to be addressed or resolved in my first year. It's a long-term plan, but when we were sitting in through the budget hearings for Public Works, one of the comments that was made is that we prioritize projects based on council priorities. I would make sure that while we have been giving attention to our combined sewer system, that becomes a higher priority, that we list this as something that increases value in our neighborhoods and decreases, to be quite honest, we'll say garbage in people's basements. We've had a lot of large water events. And when a combined sewer overflows, that's not just an inconvenience, it really can be unhealthy. And it reduces the ability to use your basement if you live in an older home. So it's a big priority for me. It's not as sexy and fun and shiny as a new home, but I think it's absolutely critical to our city.
Okay. We'd say one of the pressing issues facing Springfield right now is homelessness.
Yes.
How would you, as an elected official, work to address that?
And I agree with you. It is a very big issue. It's one that we've been struggling with, and I think part of loving a city, part of loving anything, is being able to acknowledge the weaknesses. Because you're doing this. I'm doing this from a place of I care about Springfield, and I know we've got a lot going on here. So we need to be open and honest about that. I've seen a number of different proposals floated in other communities. It's something I've been doing a lot of research on. One idea that I really like, because obviously we're dealing with, it's not just homelessness, it's a lot of the societal ills that are plaguing us. So one of the things they talk about is housing a social worker in the library. Our library is such a huge resource to this community. I will say one of the bigger issues with facing the city council is finding a replacement for our library director. That's huge. There have been a lot of great programs that are going on there. But if we've started with this with our officer who's dedicated to working with homeless issues. That's from a law enforcement side. And I will say I commend the police department for taking that step. That's not an easy step. But I think we need to have someone who's also trained very specifically in those mental health and addiction issues so that they can be an informed voice in providing additional resources.
Another citywide priority we see is economic development in terms of not just residential development,
Right.
but also attracting businesses to
Exactly.
Springfield. Can you give us your thoughts on the strategy that you'd like to see the city employing on that?
Yeah, well, and I think we're making good steps with the Land of Lincoln Development Corporation. I love the energy behind the director. That this is a community with huge potential. This is exactly how I view Springfield. We've got huge potential and a lot of good bones that we can build on. So I would like to see us partnering with them. The city council needs to be, while honest about room for improvement, we need to be the biggest cheerleaders for our community. We need to be out front and center saying, this is exactly where you want to come. We have access to high-speed internet. We've got the rail transportation that gets you quickly and usually, actually, fairly easily to to Chicago or St. Louis. You can also drive. I mean, we're actually ideally situated in terms of transportation, access to quality health care. We have really good schools in this community, and we've got higher education. There's a lot of room to be attracting businesses with an educated workforce, access to transportation, and room for development. Again, I really don't think that we're in a weakness. I think that we're in a position of strength, and we need to be promoting our position of strength much more actively.
The city provided for this current budget year $250,000 for the EDC.
Mm-hmm.
It's in the budget again this year to provide another $250,000.
Yes.
Is that an expenditure you would be in favor of?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I think that is money well spent, and I think it's money that will, as long as we stay active and engaged in the process, bring us results.
Okay. The city has had some tough financial times the last couple of years.
Yes, we have.
And the city council has approved tax increases during the last 2 budget years to help shore up some of that revenue shortfall,
Sure.
specifically including increasing the sales tax, the hotel motel, the telecom. I know you weren't on council, but if you were, do you think you would have supported those tax increases?
I mean, I think seeing what we're getting from that money right now, those were good decisions. They were difficult decisions. Moving forward, we need to be very careful about any additional taxing. I think that people feel very heavily taxed right now, and that's a concern. But I also think that we need to make sure that the city is providing results for that. You have to get value for your money, and it's critical that we start to, again, meet our commitment to the residents, show them what the results of these taxes are. We're using those, the hotel motel tax to increase our tourism budget. Well, let's see results in that, and let's have repeat tourism, and let's have different kinds of tourism. You know, when we've got our hotels filling up, and the kind of cascading effects of now our restaurants are filling up, and we've got people shopping downtown and going to our malls. These are valuable additions to our community. So I would say moving forward, the city is starting to level out a little bit. It certainly helps that CWLP is getting paid by the state now. So I think we need to be very cautious moving forward in terms of adding additional taxes onto our community, but we need to be very enthusiastic and very, very promotional about what these taxes are doing for you, for everyone in our community.
Since you brought up tourism, I'm going to skip ahead a little bit because
Okay.
we were going to ask you about that later. How do you think the city is doing at leveraging its attractions that we have here to draw visitors?
I think we can do better.
Okay, how so?
I really do. I've seen some good efforts. I worked downtown for about 10 years, so I saw the buses coming in. We've been victims of a lot of the Illinois state problems. I mean, that's part of our, maybe one of our areas of weakness almost, is when the state goes 3 years without a budget. That was a lot of state efforts that we couldn't couple with, that we couldn't partner with and build upon. And Illinois had problems, and I think Springfield reflected that. The whole state was having some issues. We're coming out of that, and I see, again, opportunity for us to promote not just Lincoln. We've got so many other resources in our community. Our parks are a lot of fun. I mean, we've got a wealth of these resources that we need to invite people in to share with us and to stay a while. The director of the Springfield Convention Bureau, or Visitor Center, he's got a lot of enthusiasm. I think we have a really good staff there, and we need to make sure that they have the tools and the resources they need to be creative, to find new ways to promote Springfield. I've got the Ask Abe app on my phone, and I'm not sure how many people even know about that, but it's really great. I can go to it, I'm like, if I were free tonight, what would I be doing? What else could I do? We need to expand options like that. We need to look at different ways of marketing, and probably we need to bring in some young, fresh minds that look at what we have with a different set of eyes.
Okay, good deal. Going back to the budget, we're in a better budget situation
Yes.
for the budget that they're going to be voting on here this month. If you were on council, what principles would you adhere to as you're looking at a fiscal plan? You know, what would that budget need to include to get you to vote in favor of it?
Well, and again, and I have this on my flyer that you have in front of you,
Yeah.
it's extremely important that the city is fiscally responsible. So what that means is that we need to ensure that we're paying our bills, that we're saving for a rainy day, because they come, and we know that. But we also need to be respectful and mindful of how we're using these dollars. One of the things that people don't always talk about are some of the assets that are in our city. I think our city workers are a huge asset to us. They've been cooperative with the city. We've taken cuts. The fire department has taken sort of a unique approach to their most recent contract, and I have a lot of respect and admiration for the way that our city employees have been willing to work with the city through some of our tougher times and moving forward. But I also think that a lot of these resources that people want, a lot of the services that people want at their heart, those are provided by our city employees. So we need to make sure that as we're looking at our budget, are we buying the equipment, the tools, and the staffing that we desperately need to ensure that our city provides the services, meets its commitments to our neighborhoods.
Okay. You brought up the recent fire contract, and that does, what they agreed to does have something to do with their pensions, and pensions do eat up a larger share of the city's budget every year for police and fire. And certainly Springfield's not alone in this. It's an issue throughout the state, and you're limited by the legislature in some ways in how you can address pensions. But what type of pensions reforms would you advocate for if you were on council?
Well, I really think, and you hit the nail on the head with that, this is actually this is a state issue that reflects very heavily on municipalities. So I think what we need to be doing at the local level is work very closely with our elected officials at the state level. There are a number of proposals that are circulating right now at the state level. They're talking about consolidating municipal pension funds, and I think that we need to be active in that. We need to be very critical of what the proposals are, and when I say critical, I don't mean criticizing. I mean, we need to be very analytical and critical in our thinking about how does this immediately impact, what are our long-term consequences, and how do we ensure that we're providing for the retirement of our employees. I follow our fire department, our police department on Facebook. I know what they go through. Those are not easy jobs. And our frontline workers at the city level provide a lot of services to us. I think it is a fair commitment that we make to them. And so the state really is going to be taking the lead, I think, on pension reform, because it needs to be done in a more cohesive manner so that we don't have pockets of inequities throughout the state. I would be very engaged in that process. I follow municipal issues at the state level because I like that. And we have a lot going around right now, and so it's the function of the mayor and the city council to be involved in that.
You brought up the proposal to consolidate the police and fire pensions throughout the state. They're talking about the 650 funds.
Yes.
Is that something you'd be in favor of?
I don't know enough about it to say that.
Okay.
I've seen some analysis of it that seems to indicate there might be local issues for local banks who've done financing at that level. That said, I think that, and I want to be careful. We don't want to go into a fund that's so unwieldy that it's not operable, and we all of a sudden have something that we can't have as much say in and control over. That said, I think that there are probably a lot of different fees and costs that go along with operating all of these separate pension funds that we need to be looking at ways to consolidating them. And I'm certainly interested in what the General Assembly is debating right now. I'll be following that very actively.
You mentioned in your opening remarks your professional background and how that might come to bear on CWLP. What are the couple top issues you see facing, and what would be your priorities for the utility?
Just as background, I started with the state. I worked 10 years at the Pollution Control Board as the rules coordinator. The Pollution Control Board adopts all the substantive standards for environmental regulations in the state of Illinois. So I have a depth of knowledge about the air, land, and water requirements that CWLP works under. We have a lot of issues there. We certainly do. Coal is not an easy, clean product, but we have a new Dolman 4, which is operating in a more more efficient manner. I definitely want to see what our integrated resource plan, what those recommendations come down to. But even though the preliminary presentation that was brought to City Council included renewables, it's just a reasonable response right now. So we need to be looking long term. CWLP is one of our prizes. It's one of our jewels in the city, and we need to ensure that it continues to operate in that reliable, efficient, and safe manner. To that end, we need to be addressing our coal ponds. That is an issue that is not waiting. It's starting with problems. I commend CWLP. They've been putting more money into the fund where they can start to address issues like that. I think we need to be much more active and engaged in addressing those problems before they become huge issues.
So the resource plan will be given to the council probably March, April.
I believe in April. Yeah.
What's your sense of how that ought to be processed, I guess, so that the community really has some sense of that?
Right, and I think this is where the City Council needs to be well informed about what the issues are, and that's where we serve as ambassadors to our community. We need to be, I would like to see some public sessions. We've had ward meetings for other, larger plans in the community, and I think we should be going out with those, providing the background and the information that we generate from that report. The company that's working on that is not, their vested interest is reliable generation, and that should be our vested interest. But we need to make sure mixed in with that reliability is efficiency, value for dollar for our residents, and that they're informed about the decisions we're making. We've had, when you have these ward meetings throughout the community, that's our opportunity to provide more feedback and background. I think when residents are well informed, they have you have more buy-in on what we're trying to do. I know people are upset about the wind contract. That was not a great contract. But the concept behind it, yeah, we need to be looking at this. We need to diversify our generation, and we need to do it in a way that's responsible for CWLP too, moving forward.
So this a little bit off, but how does your service on the 186 school board, how will that serve to inform your work on the council?
Well, and it's been a while, but sure. I think I learned a lot serving on our school board. It was really an instructive and almost shocking. It was the first time I'd run for public office. Way to get a better sense of connecting with community, of really knowing that you have to package concepts and ideas that may be fairly complicated, but be able to share that with the community in a way that they understand, that they feel vested. And it's really important to listen to people. I will say another benefit that I got from that, when I was president of the school board, that was the year we negotiated the contract with the teachers union. There's a lot of detail, a lot of back and forth that goes into public sector contract negotiation and private sector, but public sector is the one I'm familiar with. I think I bring that experience in a way that we want to ensure that we continue to have a positive working relationship with our employees, with our unions, so that we don't have threats of strikes or that kind of angst that comes around the insecurity that a lot of state workers have been dealing with over the last 4 years. It's very disconcerting to not know what your contract and work conditions are going to be like. And it's important to me that we maintain that sense of stability in our community.
Thanks.
Shifting gears a little to some of the hot topics in our community, last few years has been the Y Block. What do you think should go there?
I'm so excited about the Y Block. I really am. I mean, we've got this gorgeous blank slate that we really need to invest in, and we need to get the most out of our investment. We've already put $1 million or more into it. I will say I was not in favor of the mayor's proposal to make that a park. It absolutely needs to be something that is generating revenue and drawing people into our community, and especially downtown. I love that Senator Menard is making the first steps of a commitment of $50 million to bring another educational resource downtown. That's fabulous. And I think we need to take that very seriously and kind of get excited and work around that. I know there's been talk about UIS also wanting to bring a campus downtown. I think we need to make sure that we're dealing with everybody who's interested in this block, but the plan needs to be generating revenue for the community. I love the idea of having an educational institution right downtown. I think we're ideally situated for this, and I'd love to see how that spreads out, and we have rehab apartments for housing options for young adults who are living and staying downtown. We need to increase the walkability of downtown so that when people come and you don't actually have to go very far to have, your food options and entertainment, housing. We've got a great anchor option right here. We need to be very careful in how we address it, but I'm really excited to see what we're looking at right now.
Okay. Another hot topic is Capital Township and if it should be merged.
Yes.
Do you think it should be merged, and if so, with the city or the county?
Well, and I mean, I think there's been growing research that has shown, it's not growing research, we can show very easily, Illinois has so many units of local government, small units all over that are, in some cases, duplicating services. And I think if we can merge the township in a way that is, again, respectful of the residents in there, that we are ensuring that those resources and those services we continue to provide them, yes, I think we should. And I think the city would be a good manager of those resources. I know some people have talked about the assessment, the assessor responsibilities of the township, and then how that's been traditionally the county. Maybe we can come to an agreement on that. But I think that the city has a wealth of strong employees, and that they could take on new jobs, and maybe we take on we create some new positions to ensure that we're providing the services that people have come to expect.
Okay. Governing Magazine recently ran a series of articles.
Yes, I subscribe to Governing.
Okay, so you've
yes,
read
I have.
it. Didn't necessarily put our city in the best light when it came to race relations. What was your reaction to that?
I wasn't really surprised.
Okay.
This is a huge issue for Springfield, and again, this is where coming at Springfield from a place of true love and very much a commitment to our community, I think we need to be open and honest about what Governing highlighted. At the Icon Forum last week, Sean Gregory, who's running in Ward 2, his comment really stuck with me, and I've had other friends say this. He said, if you live on the east side, that article was not a surprise. And I think to some people on the west side, it might have been. So I think we need to be much more honest and open about how we treat the different parts of our community. Springfield is not a huge city. I can get from my house, which again, west of Veterans Parkway, to J.C. Penney's, which I love their shopping. I can get there in about 15 minutes if the lights are right. We have a community that has a lot of potential, but we will not realize that potential if we continue to allow a significant part of our city to suffer. So it needs to be an open, an honest conversation. It's going to be a little painful. It will be painful for people. But we need to have that conversation. We need to be fully engaged as an entire community so that we're building everybody up.
What can the city do to foster that process?
Well, first start the conversation.
Okay.
I mean, we absolutely need to. And we need to do it in a way that's not defensive. We need to do it in a way that is constructive. And then practically speaking, we're starting to make some improvements. The new development in Poplar Place, this is encouraging. People want quality housing. I mean, people don't want to live in broken down homes, and we should be working with developers and encouraging new development, and in areas that maybe doesn't immediately come to mind. I know a lot of people, they think, oh, new housing, here's Cornfield on the west side of town. I mean, we're really moving far west. What I'd like to see is, yes, and here's a significant portion of our east side that has fairly open space. Let's develop here. We've got the infrastructure exists already. We've got the roads. We can put in some sidewalks. We've got electrical running to them already. The sewers are connected. This is exactly the kind of prime real estate that we should be promoting. And I know people say, oh, you talk about developing on the east side and people laugh. We shouldn't be laughing. This is entirely where we need to be going. And if we strengthen that side of our community, we encourage the kind of development that everyone says they need to go to the west side for. Now we've got people going throughout our city, finding new neighborhoods, making new connections. That makes us stronger. And the city can do that through a lot of ways. And again, I think we need to continue to find more partnerships with developers, with organizations that are willing to make the effort to put in the kind of quality neighborhoods that every part of Springfield deserves.
Okay. Well, we thank you, Erin, for meeting with us today, and we invite you to give a brief closing statement as to why voters should choose you on Election Day.
Well, thank you very much. I very much appreciate the chance to come here before you. I think municipal issues are extremely critical. It affects us every day. I'm running for this office because I do love this city. I know I've said it before, but it's something that I feel very deeply. We have a lot of opportunity in Springfield, and I'd like to be a part of building our community up, making it somewhere that we're proud to be, and that we start to draw people in. I think one of the selling points that we need to have, and this is where I talk about, when we're developing our older neighborhoods, people want diversity of options in their housing. They want to have, you don't want to have to spend $200,000 on a home. You can have a quality home in one of our older neighborhoods. Maybe it doesn't cost as much, but you've got that neighborhood feel. And I think there's a trend of younger people who are coming into our workforce, who are buying homes. They want that neighborhood feel. We're swinging back into that sort of attraction, and we have a wealth of diversity in our neighborhoods that can provide that. We need to be marketing that. We need to be marketing our strengths, our value, and just the wonderful city that we have here. It's a jewel. We need to keep polishing it, and I look forward to representing Ward 8, which is a great place to live, and promoting our city, which is a wonderful place to be.